Hey, today we'll be talking about pronoun antecedent agreement. Just for a quick review, let's think about what is a pronoun and what is an antecedent. As you probably know, pronoun is a word that's used to take the place of a proper noun. Common pronouns include all of these words at the bottom of the screen: he, she, him, her, I, you, and so on. What these words do is they take the place of a proper noun, something like Mike or Jane or something like that. And these proper nouns are what we call the antecedent. It's the word that the pronoun is referring to. So let's look at some very, very basic examples. Mr. Beck and Mr. Crater thought that they had written an amazing exam. Think about it for a second. What is the pronoun? What is the antecedent? If you guessed that they is the pronoun and the antecedents are Mr. Beck and Mr. Crater, you were on the right track. President Obama delivered his speech on gun control last April. Now, just looking at this for a second, it looks like his is going to be our pronoun. What does it refer to? His is referring to President Obama, so that is our antecedent. Common errors that students often have is they'll take a singular pronoun and pair it with a plural antecedent, or vice versa. It's essential that if the antecedent is singular, the pronoun is singular. If the pronoun is plural, the antecedent has to be plural. They have to be both singular or both plural. Otherwise, the sentence just doesn't make sense. And let's look at, and again, I apologize for the simplicity of these examples, but let's look at some really basic examples to clarify this point. The boy finished his dinner. Now the boy, there's only one boy, so that's singular. Finished his dinner. His is just referring to the one boy, therefore that's singular as well. So that sentence works. A poor example would be the boy. Another correct example would be the boys finished their dinner. Boys, there's more than one boy, so that's plural. There refers to more than one person, so that is plural as well. So that sentence works. Again, I apologize for the simplicity of that example. I just want to make the point very clear. Now, indefinite pronouns is where it gets a little more complicated. Indefinite pronouns are the pronouns that seem like they're referring to several people, but we need to still treat them as though they're singular. These pronouns include anybody, anyone, each, either, everybody, everyone, everything, neither, no one, someone, something. Well, all of these words seem like they could be addressing several people. We have to look at any one. It's still referring to the one singular person. Same thing with each. Each is kind of breaking it down to the individual part, so that's singular too. Example, everyone should treat his or her teacher with respect. Now, while everyone could possibly be referencing several people, we're really focusing on each and every one person, so it's singular. So we would say everyone should respect his or her teacher, not everyone should respect their teacher. Now, some indefinite pronouns are considered plural. These are going to be a little more obvious, though. Several, few, both, many, without a doubt, will always be plural and refer to many people, or at least two. Several felt that they received unfair grades. However, some indefinite pronouns that are modified by the prepositional phrase can be either plural or singular. Now these are where it gets really tricky. And when we see words like some and none, any, all, or most, that's when we have to actually look at the rest of the sentence to determine whether or not some or any, none is taking on a singular or plural form. So if the object of the preposition is countable, then the pronoun is considered singular. For example, let's look at this sentence. Some of the salt fell out of its bag. Now, if the salt fell out of its bag, then we would say it's not countable, that we're not going to look at each individual, grain or granule or whatever it is and count those things. So we're going to treat that as though it's singular. Whereas, if we have an object that preposition is countable, then we consider the pronoun plural. Most of the diamonds had lost their sparkle. If diamonds, were lined up on a desk, we can count them. So because they're countable, we would treat it as though it's plural. Now, a lot of times students get tricked because of prepositional phrases. Those are usually like of the clauses in sentences. So each of the students did a great job on their essays. This is an incorrect use. Each is one of those indefinite pronouns that we always treat as singular. So even though we see the phrase of the student, what I would like you to do is think about ways to just take that phrase and just remove it from the equation. So just think of it as each did a good job on their exam. Now that doesn't sound right. If we look at the correct version, each of the students did a great job on his or her exam. That's correct, because we would just say each did a great job on his or her exam. Why? Really the reason I just said. Of the students is a prepositional phrase and does not affect the antecedent. And each, although it's an indefinite, is a singular pronoun, so you would use his or her instead of their. Remember, treat each, anyone, everyone, everybody, those are always singular. The either or, neither nor idea. In the event that the sentence contains an either or, neither nor structure, the pronoun's going to agree with the antecedent that is closest to it. Now it's going to make a little more sense in a second. Either Mr. Beck or Mr. Crayer will let me borrow his car. His is obviously the pronoun. We're going to look at the one antecedent closest to it, Mr. Crayer. Now, Mr. Crayer is a great man, but he's only one man, so he's singular, so we need to use a singular pronoun as well. Neither Mr. Beck nor the science teachers realized that they were in terrible danger of a zombie apocalypse. Now, in this case, when we have to look at the neither nor, the closest one to the pronoun is the science teachers. That's multiple people, so it's plural, and therefore we would use they instead of his or her. Let's look at some of these samples. That package of clothes is heavy, so don't lift. Would I use it or them? I'm giving you time to reflect. If you said it, you would be correct. Remember, of clothes is a prepositional phrase. I just want to look at that package. There's only one package, so it's singular. So I would use it instead of them. Did Sam or Chris want a haircut? When I have the or, which also operates like the either or principle, I would just look at the one closest. So Chris is just one person, so I would use his. Did Sam or Chris want his haircut? When a person is in trouble, blank may resort to anything. Now I say a person. A person is only referring to one is singular, so I would use he. If any one of the sisters needs a ride to church, blank can call me. But I use she or they. Remember, of the sisters is a prepositional phrase and needs to kind of be removed. Any one is referring to one person, it's singular, so I would use she. If any one of the sisters needs a ride to church, she can call me. Now, I want you guys to look at the following questions. On just a piece of paper, I would like you to write down what you think the best answers are and turn these into your teacher for feedback. When performing passages from Macbeth, a student may forget his or her or their lines. Which one would you use? So that was number one. Number two, the committee members put its or their signatures on the document. 3, if any one of the students needs to make up work, he or she or they should see Mr. B in ACT Lab. 4, neither the teacher nor the students gave his or her or their opinion about the lack of snow days. Everyone should make his or her or their own decisions. And I'm just going to let this play so you guys can review these if you need to. Or I guess it would be better to actually just pause the video at this point. All right, once you're finished, hopefully you did very well. If you're unclear about any of the rules, just go ahead and ask your teacher to explain these in greater detail. Hopefully everything made sense, and good luck on the assessment.